Hey everybody, welcome in to the fifth episode of the My Life series. Today we we'll get into the end of my time at Upper Pittsgrove, so the end of seventh grade and um into like into obviously my years at Bankbridge Regional, which was a special needs school I went that I went to in New Jersey. Um, so obviously, let's start in the middle of seventh grade. Dawn, my dad's wife at the time, um, finds she actually finds out about Bankbridge. I forget exactly how, but somehow she finds out about Bankbridge and she made it like a very convincing argument for me. I could tell it was very well researched, and I could tell like I would get maybe the education of an Upper Pittsgrove, but like the physical therapy of a Widener. Um, so it felt like the best of both. And the issue that I faced once I found out about that was not making the decision. It was um, telling my friends at UPS that I would um, I I'm really I'm gonna be transferring schools, and um I wanted to make abundantly clear I wanted to make it abundantly clear to them that it had nothing to do with them. um I just had a lot of great opportunities there, and or a lot of great opportunities coming up, and my my friends some of my friends were like, yeah, dude, I get it, like especially the guys I played basketball with, like Kyson, Ryan, um Darius, Zach. Like they're like, look, dude, like do what you need to do. Like I'll like we'll still care about you, you know that. um but not all my friends necessarily felt that way. Um I can remember my friend Will being like, look, I actually I looked up their like their educational statistics in the state the educational statistics in the state of New Jersey. And Bankbridge is actually the 21st ranked school, and Upper Pittsgrove is the number 19 school. And I was like, Will, I appreciate what you're trying to do. Um, you're trying to inform me, but like the the decision's like kind of already made. Like I'm 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 going I'm going to Bankbridge. Like I don't want you to think that I like don't care about you or whatever, but like the decision's kind of already made. And he was like, I respect it. Um and yeah, so that was difficult. Um in the the winter, I want to say, of 2015, like, or the fall or winter of 2015. um I actually I finished up my seventh grade basketball season, and then Um, and then that summer, I was I was just um, like, um, you know what, man, like, let's go to Bankbridge and um, and then I started eighth grade um, and everybody at Bankbridge was so welcoming. Um, again, it was again feeling like the new kid at school, like those first day jitters, and everybody at Bankbridge was incredible. And I got one heck of a really good education. Um, like um, my first real crush was actually eighth grade. I know I mentioned in one of the earlier My Life episodes that my first my my first like kind of crush was an eighth grader when I was in kindergarten. But but my first real crush was in eighth grade. Her name was Gianna Rink. Um, and yeah, obviously at the time she had a boyfriend, and there was a point in eighth grade where we broke up, and or where they broke up, and then I dated her for 3 whole days from Friday to Monday. Um, so not really dated her, and then she was back at Coleman. Um, or yeah, that was the other guy. But yeah, like it's it's just one of those things where it was just like, come on, dude, like what was your goal, like in that whole situation? Like really, what was your thought process? What were you thinking? But um, that's the thing, like in at that time I wasn't necessarily thinking, and yeah, so um that sucked, but there were a lot of like really good times at Bankbridge. I i can i can remember my first aide there. Her name was Miss Ree, and she was just this awesome person. We had a lot of things in common. Um, she was she just made me feel so obviously like really 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 cared about, and she's just a fantastic person. I'd love to like obviously get back in touch with her, but hopefully that happens one of these days. But yeah, so there was a lot of fun like to be had in eighth grade, and I got straight A's my eighth grade year. And I could know that if I could hang in a normal public school, I can definitely hang with the curriculum of of a special needs school. Um, and Bankbridge was one of the best special needs like schools as far as education goes. I would think in the country. I think I read that somewhere, and yeah, and it definitely showed, and it was from there it was on to um it, or actually before we get to that, I wanted to mention that I I actually had um had another aide toward the end of my 8th grade year, because my original aide had like not had some disagreements with my 8th grade teacher. We'll just say that um and I was just like, and I was just like, whatever, like that sucks. Like I'll always I'll I'm gonna miss Reed, but luckily luckily she and Miss Carey, who was Mr. Heary's teacher's assistant, um went right next door, so I still got to see them. So so um and then from there, um who I met my new aide. Her name was Miss Pam. She was just absolutely um just so nice, so cool, and so much, just she was awesome to be around. And she actually, like, and this is a quality like I really respect in people. Like she knew when to give me like actual love, and like when to give me tough love. And I and hmm, honestly, I think Miss Ree knew that too. But I just really yeah, that's something I'll always respect in people, is just that ability to know when to be like actually like just knowing really what a person needs. That's what I'm trying to say. Um, but yeah. And then in January of, or I, for, I forget if it was January or it might have been November of 2015 or January of 2016. My sister Vivian was born. Um, and then we got all of me, Tommy, and Gia all got like a day off school just to go see her. Um she was born pretty late at night. I want to say it was like 10 o'clock or something. Um but yeah, that, well, as soon as I saw her, well, the first time I saw her was on video, because my dad and stepmom wanted to announce her to the world, which which was all right. I mean, that's their kid; they can do what they want. Um, but yeah, I just thought that was kind of weird. Um, but then the next day we saw Tommy, Gia, and I saw Viv at the hospital, and as soon as I first held her, I knew that little girl was gonna melt my heart. Um, and she's she's just one of the one of the best little kids I've been around. She's kind, she's caring about everyone. She just, for a 9-year old, she has the maturity of, I would say, like a 12 or 13-year old. She understands so much, specifically about how to like treat people, and the way like how, like what is the right way to do things, and what's necessarily not necessarily like how the right way to treat people. And she's just such such an amazing human. I'm definitely proud to be her her big brother for sure. And I know Tommy is too. Viv, if you're listening to this episode, I I love you, Munchkin. Um, yeah, like it was it was a good way to continue my eighth grade year. I um I was able to finish with straight A's like I mentioned, and I was able to have like a shadow day late in my eighth grade year with the high school, and one of my first shadow days with the high school class was with my favorite um was with who I didn't know at the time, but who would become like one of my favorite teachers, Mr. Lamb. We actually shadowed his history class, and it was such an amazing. It was a really cool experience, and I was so just jazzed up for high school that I couldn't wait for it. But and then I had my eighth grade graduation from Upper Pittsgrove. They were gracious enough to let me take part in my eighth grade graduation. Um, and yeah, we were on a party bus after the commencement, and then I forget where we went for the like reception or dinner or whatever. And then um, as as I'm as I'm driving home, my dad like picked me up from the reception. I was like, Dad, I'm re- I'm really nervous. I'm 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 going into high school. Like what? Like I don't know if I'll be able to do this. He was like, Connor, you're gonna be fine. And I said, you think so? It's like, I know so. I love the kid. And yeah, so I appreciate it, big guy. Yeah, and then I went into high school um just going through going through high school. Like I realized like I would have a lot of like my same friends from eighth grade, like they would come with me, so that was very very comforting. Um, and I felt like I felt like I could. It's like, oh, like we're all kind of in the same boat. We're all kind of maybe battling these same feelings, and I had people to kind of bounce ideas off of. So that was great. Um, my ninth grade year was the um 16-17 school year, and the Eagles in or actually in April of 16 they drafted Carson Wentz, which was the first time they drafted a quarterback. They drafted a quarterback in the first round, I want to say, since Donovan McNabb. And watching rookie Carson Wentz and like second year Carson Wentz was absolutely incredible. And in his rookie year, like he showed such promise, and it was just you could tell that the Eagles were building something, and it was really exciting. Like everybody at Bankbridge, whenever the Eagles would win, would be like, "Oh, we got a quarterback now," because the previous year we had to deal with the Chip Kelly general manager experiment, which had Sam Bradford. I want to say that was 4 years past his rookie of the year campaign. Because that was in like, what was that, 2004 or 5 years, like, because he was drafted in what, 2010. Yeah, like 4 or 5 years, and then we signed DeMarco Murray. Um, we signed DeMarco Murray from the division rival Dallas Cowboys, where um, he had just come off a rushing title, which, yeah, and then we signed Ryan Matthews to pair with him. And one interesting note about Ryan Matthews, I'll get back to how this affect, like, the My Life stuff is like, both Ryan Matthews and DeMarco Murray were very like downhill runners, and the Eagles with Chip Kelly ran like a zone running scheme. So they had downhill runners, but the scheme called for a running back like LaShawn McCoy, like like a shiftier kind of make you miss back, and they had they actually had LaShawn McCoy the previous 2 years, but they jettisoned him to Buffalo for Kiko Alonso, who played for Chip Kelly at Oregon, which was just a garbage signing. But anyway, yeah, and then 16, the 16-17 school year was great, and then we went into 2017, and then going into the spring of 2017, I realized, you know what, I want to get back into baseball. And I'm at the time, the Phillies weren't very good. They were deep into a rebuild, and I just realized that I missed baseball. And the one of the first Phillies games I actually ended up watching was it was actually one of the first Phillies game I ended up watching it at this house where I'm recording this podcast. They actually beat the Nationals 17-3, highlighted by a 12-run bottom of the first inning, which ruined national starter Jeremy Guthrie's career. The next or he actually, that start was actually on his birthday, and then because he gave up like 12 runs in the first inning, he was designated for assignment the very next day, and then he never pitched in the big leagues again. So I always kind of joke about that game, that the Phillies ruined Jeremy Guthrie's career, which sucks for him, but it's a pretty, I always think it's a pretty cool story. But anyway, yeah, so I was able to see that. That was very cool. And then what else happened in 16? I don't really know of a whole lot, or I don't really think a whole lot, but now, so let's actually go to It's actually go to the 17-18 school year. So I or actually in before we get to that, the 16-17 school year, I had I had an aide. His name was um his name was John, and he was just an awesome guy to work with. He would always make like so many puns, and it started to like rub off on me, just because when you're around someone enough, like their like quirks of like their personality start to kind of rub off on you. At least that was the case with me and John. And then yeah, we got through the we got through my freshman year of high school, and I was like, huh, maybe this high school thing will work out. And then the next day, or the next fall, um I actually met my new aide who had just got hired from, I want to say, Clearview. His, his name was Chris, and his name was Chris McManus, and we really hit it off right from the jump. We actually had a lot of the same uh, a lot of the same personality, like the same favorite cookie, the same birthday, some of the same interests, like professional wrestling and everything like that. So um, it was really such a great dynamic. I actually remember we uh one of the days at lunch, he actually grabs this banana, but the peel was green, and um he was he was like trying to like peel the banana, but it was like almost like he had to husk it, and he was like he was like, oh my god, like this is a he called it the cornana, and I took a bite of it, and I was just like, what is that? Like, that's terrible. Um yeah, it's and then I I remember um we were at the media and performing arts show for the high school, and this is such a funny story. Um, so he was like, this the media and performing arts teacher was like, um, with Miss Joyce. Her name was Miss Joyce. So this kid in the front row asked, like, if they would be like doing the like Pokemon Go song or whatever, and he was like, she she was like, yes, we will be doing the Pokemon song, and then this kid, oh my god, this kid just, just screams, I hate that song, and me me and Chris and I just started dying, and I think I think I laughed about that for for the rest of the show. Oh god, just it's just little moments like that that like really just make me really give me fond memories, and it's it's those memories that I'll always cherish. Um, and so let me give you some highlights. Or actually, before we get to that, there was there was one there was one more thing I want to touch on from my sophomore year that does involve Chris, but it wasn't it wasn't the best thing. He At the end of the year they had like their performance reviews, and um so Chris and I always had a running joke that like he would get fired. Um and and at the I just thought like it it was just gonna be a normal performance review, and then um he was so he comes back, and I'm just he I was like, what happened? Did you get fired? And he didn't say anything. I was like, that's not good, because normally like Chris, Chris would Chris would always be the one to kind of start that joke. And another another inside joke that he and I had was one day, or actually one day in math class, it was geometry. Um, Miss Cahoon, my math teacher, who was also my homeroom teacher, was like, she drew a like a pentagram on the board, and my friend Tyler, um, my friend Tyler was like, "Isn't that the devil symbol?" Um, and then and then that day at lunch, me and or like I just started I just randomly thought like I just started calling Miss Cahoon Satan. Um and I always I always actually called Mr. Chris I actually called Chris Jesus Christ, because he had long hair and a beard. So whenever we were in homeroom to start the day, um Chris Chris would always say, um Chris would always say, it's so hot in here, and I would always remind him, or I would always say back, remember where you are. And he was like, yep. Um, and then there'd be some times where we'd go back to Miss Cahoon's class to like end the day before they called like our buses, and Chris Chris, Chris and I would just sing. We'd make a parody of that song "Highway to Hell," but we we'd call it "Hallway to Hell." And what else? What else? What else? Um, and we made we made a parody of a mm, of like a mobster and Jimmy Sprinkles. It's just funny. Um, yeah. So his go-to line was always, "You mess with my Sunday, I break your kneecaps." So anyway, that's just some inside jokes. So junior year, then I meet my third aide in as many years. Um, his name was Gino, and he was actually the brother of one of my friends. One of my friends, Mikey Caparelli. Um, so so we had a bit of a rocky start to our relationship, because I was used to the dynamic between me and Chris, and um with the dynamic between me and Gino, it was a lot more student faculty than like friend to friend. But eventually, when we got we kind of got ourselves situated, and I understood like what his sense of humor was. Um, we we got the we got everything straightened out, and then and then toward the end of my time in Bankbridge, I actually decided to um, or the decision was starting to be bandied about that I would make the transition to Maryland for next year because my brother was gonna go to college in the fall, um and don't like my dad would be away a lot, and my stepmom my my stepmom like didn't or like couldn't really take care of me like that. So um and then I actually made a pro and con list of staying in Jersey and going to Maryland, and I I ended up we all ended up making the decision, and Tommy, my mom, Dawn, and Dad, from the pro and con list, that it would be best for me to go to Maryland, um and here I am. And well, I told I told I told my friends at Bankbridge that I would be back for prom for the 1920 school year, but unfortunately that would never happen. But yeah, I was excited to go to live with my mom and live in Maryland, and this is kind of where I'm at now. So that this has um, been my life number 5. Um, um, and thank you guys for listening to this. And as always, this is my life.